There's a moment after the scan, but before the results, when everything feels suspended. Your body is technically safe. The treatment is done. The doctor even says, "We'll call you next week." But your soul is pacing the floor as if walking back and forth, rehearsing for the worst and bargaining with God. It's in that space between knowing and not knowing where faith feels like a whisper and fear roars like a thunder. This is Scanxiety. And even as a 9-year cancer survivor, I still sit in that same space. I still hold my breath. Healing doesn't always mean the fear goes away. It just means we've learned how to breathe through it. So today, we're talking about the quiet anguish of the weight, the sacred discomfort of not having control, and how somehow we still find stillness in the storm. Welcome to the Life Tula podcast, where we talk about the things most people avoid: cancer, grief, dying, and the radical act of healing. We hold space for healing, not just surviving. So, let's talk about what is Scanxiety. Let's begin by naming it. Scanxiety is a word that didn't exist until survivors like me invented it. It's the gripping anxiety that shows up while you're either due for a scan, waiting for scan results, the sleepless nights before your CT scan, your MRI, or your blood work. It's the pit in your stomach after the test, when your phone rings and you're scared to answer. Scanxiety isn't irrational. It's not just nerves. It's what happens when your body remembers. When your nervous system goes on a high alert because the last time you got a call like this, your life changed. Even if you've been through treatment, even if you're healed, even if you're thriving, there is still a part of you that braces. Braces for news, braces for disruption, braces for the possibility that you'll have to begin again. And that's the hardest part. It doesn't matter how strong you are, how faithful, how grateful, how positive. Scanxiety is the body's honest cry. Am I safe? Am I still okay? I know there's a lot of you who are survivors like me. So I want to invite you now into a gentle pause. Just close your eyes for a moment. If you can, just relax your shoulders, lean back if you can, and ask yourself, where does Scanxiety live in my body? Is it in your chest? Is it in your jaw? Your breath? Can you place a hand there now? Not just to judge, but to soothe it. Take a breath with me. Inhale. I am safe in this moment. Exhale. I don't have to hold it all. Again, inhale. God is with me even here. And exhale. I let go of what I can't control. Between the fear and faith, Scanxiety isn't just about the results. It's about the in-between. The space where you're not sick, but not quite free from it. Where you want to trust, but your mind just keeps scrolling through the what-ifs. This is where fear and faith often collide. Fear says, what if it's back? But faith says, even if it is, I won't face it alone. Fear says, I don't think I can do it again. Faith whispers, but look how far you've come. Some days, I'll be honest, I lean more into fear, especially these days because my scan is upcoming. Other days, faith carries me like a current. And most days, I'll find myself somewhere in between, praying not for miracles, but for strength, just to get through the week. You know, I used to think faith meant being fearless. Now I know faith is not just the absence of fear. It is the courage to keep breathing even when fear is loud. It's that soft knowing that God is not just waiting on the other side of the results. He's here in the waiting room with you, with me. If you are close to me, you know that these days I've been talking about one series on Netflix or Amazon Prime, The Chosen. And this recounts very special episodes that I hold dear to my heart. This time and I know if you remember, it's a woman who braved through the crowd. She's just been bleeding for years. And she believed that all she has to do to get healed is to touch the hem of the tunic of Jesus. And she did. And Jesus felt it. And Jesus asked, "Who touched me?" And when Jesus asked her why she touched the hem of his clothes, she said, "Because I know that if I'm able to touch even just the hem of your cloak, I will be healed." It is such a powerful display of faith. And sometimes I wish I had a faith like hers. I want to offer you a sacred question. When was the last time you needed faith? Not for the outcome, but just for the strength to wait. And what came up for you? And here's another. What would it feel like to trust? Not in a perfect result, but in a steady, faithful God. Let yourself sit with that, not to fix anything, but to simply be with it. Take one breath with me now. Inhale. Even in fear, exhale. I am never alone. And while fear and faith wrestle quietly in our hearts, there's another layer of scanxiety that often goes unnamed. It's not just the waiting. It's how the waiting begins to shape your entire life. How your world slowly starts shrinking to fit inside a 3-month checkup or a 6-month surveillance test or an annual scan. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what it feels like to plan your life in quarters. The quiet grief of not knowing if you can even dream beyond the 3 months, or you can plan beyond the 6 months of your surveillance. Let's talk about life in cycles and the mental toll of waiting. There's something Scanxiety rarely talks about. It's not just the fear of the result, but how it rewires your whole way of living. I know this. I stopped planning for birthdays too far ahead. I hold back from booking the next trip or committing to a job or a work, an assignment, or a project, or saying yes to something joyfully. Not because you don't want to, but because a quiet voice whispers, "What if you won't be okay by then?" For many survivors, life starts to shrink. We live either in quarters, 3 months window between checkups, 6-month windows between scans, or in my case, annually. We learn to be cautiously hopeful. We unknowingly postpone dreams, not because we've given up, but because we're scared to be caught off guard. And that's the kind of grief no one talks about. The grief of not being able to live fully because you're always Waiting. But here's what I've learned. If I keep waiting for certainty before I live, I'll spend my whole life in the waiting room. What gives me the courage to step out of that space again and again is not the guarantee of clean scans. It's not the perfect test result. It is faith. Faith in a God whose goodness isn't measured by medical reports. Faith in a love that holds me steady, even if the road turns. I don't live because I'm fearless. I live because I know my God is faithful. The trust, deep anchored, tried through the fire, trust is what allows me to go on in the business of living. To say yes to plans, to laugh without bracing, to book the ticket, wear the dress, dream out loud, not because I know how the story ends, but because I know who holds the pen. I know who is writing the story of my life. So let me ask you, what have you put on hold because you were waiting for the all clear or the no evidence of disease? And deeper still, what would it look like to live? Not because you're certain of the future, but because you're anchored in God's faithfulness today. Take a breath, inhale. I will not wait for the perfect conditions. Exhale. I will live because He is faithful. I want to talk about something a little tricky when love adds pressure. And I'm talking about the well-meaning nagging. Sometimes Scanxiety isn't just about what we carry internally. It's also about what gets amplified by the voices around us, especially from the people who loves us the most. They mean well, and they mean really well. They want to see us strong, moving forward, optimistic. But when scan comes around, you might hear, "Don't worry, it's probably nothing." Or, "You've done this before, just be positive." "Why are you stressed? Hasn't it been years?" And sometimes even gentle reminders start to feel like pressure. Did you reschedule your scan? Are you taking your meds? You really need to stop being anxious. And while all of it comes from a place of love, it can feel like you're being nudged, nagged, and managed instead of being gently held. Because Scanxiety isn't a switch you turn off. It's not a mindset problem. It's not a lack of prayer or positivity. It's the body remembering. It's the soul bracing itself. It's a deeply human response to trauma, to uncertainty, to the truth that you've already lived through a nightmare once, and you're terrified it'll happen again. So for both the survivor and the loved ones listening, for our dear survivors, what do you wish your loved ones understood about the way you feel during your scan week? And for the loved ones, how can you offer presence instead of pressure? How can you say, "I'm here," without needing them to be okay? Maybe it's not about the fixing the fear. Maybe it's just about sitting beside it, beside them. If you're a love giver, a spouse, a sibling, a parent, or a close friend, please know we see your love. We know you want to help. We know it's hard to watch someone you care about wrestle with fear. But here's something to comfort you. Your calm presence is more powerful than your pressure. Instead of rushing in to fix it, try to sit with your loved one, honor their fear instead of minimizing it. Trust that they're already doing their best to become courageous and to stay grounded. And if you must nudge, make it a gentle one. not a push to be braver, stronger, or more positive, but a soft reminder that they are not alone. Let your strength be the quiet kind, the kind they can lean on when theirs feels a bit shaky, because in the sacred wait between scans and answers, sometimes the most healing thing you can do is just be present and be a quiet presence. Because in the sacred wait between scans and answers, sometimes the most healing thing you can do is just stay beside them and be a quiet presence. We've talked about fear. We've talked about the weight of the weight. We've talked about the pressure inside out that builds in the days leading up to the scan. Now let's talk about what's possible within the waiting. Because while we may not be able to control the outcome, we can choose how we meet ourselves in the in-between. For me, stillness isn't about being perfectly calm. It's not about silencing the fear. Stillness is surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It's releasing what I was never meant to carry alone. It's that moment I unclench my jaw, exhale the worry, and whisper, God, I give this to you again. Sometimes stillness is a walk outside without checking your phone. Sometimes it's breath prayer. Sometimes it's the letting the tears fall without rushing to fix them. And sometimes it's just sitting in the unknown, hand on your chest, saying, I'm here, I'm still here, and God is too. If it's okay, I'm going to ask you to just place your hand on your heart. Feel the rise and fall of your breath. Let's do 3 slow breaths together. Inhale, I'm safe in the moment. Exhale, God is with me even here again. Inhale, I surrender what I can't control. Exhale, I choose peace not because I'm sure, but because I'm held. Scanxiety may come and go. The fear may return. But so can your stillness. So can your breath. So can your faith. Because at the end of the day, you are not walking this path alone. And you never were. Scanxiety is real. It's not weakness. It's not a lack of faith. It's a human heart reacting to the possibility of disruption while still choosing to hope. And maybe, just maybe, it's not something we need to fight or rush through. Maybe Scanxiety is a sacred invitation, a chance to practice faith before the answer comes. A moment to walk with God, not after the storm, but in the eye of it. Because faith isn't proven when life is easy. It's revealed when the future is blurry. We trust anyway. So if you're in that space now, waiting, bracing, praying, know this. You are not alone. The same God who walked you through the diagnosis, who sat with you in treatment, who held you through the tears, is right beside you now, in the wait, in the fear, in the breath you just took. You don't have to rush toward peace. You don't have to pretend to be brave. Just keep walking with faith in one who never left. And even here, especially here, you are held.